Hi students, a very good morning. Welcome to English class. Today we are going to learn the part 3 of the chapter The Tsunami. But before we move on to the third part, let's have the brief recap of part 1 and part 2. So children, on 20th December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India such as Andaman Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. In part 1, we have seen the stories of so many people who had lost their lives. Ignatius, the manager of cooperative society, lost 5 of his family members, including his wife. Sanjeev was a courageous policeman who could manage to save his wife and his baby daughter, lost his life while saving the wife of Mr. John, who was his guest house cook. So Sanjeev and John's wife were both swept away. And the other was Meghna, a 13-year-old girl, swept away with her parents and 77 other people. Luckily, she floated in the sea for 2 days aiding a wooden door and finally came to the shore and saved her life. Another was Alma Javed, a student of Carmel Convent, lost 4 of her family members. So children, in part 2, we have seen a courageous girl, Tilly Smith, a British schoolgirl. When she sensed the danger of tsunami, she was able to manage to save many lives, including her family members, by giving them frequent warnings. She could sense the danger of tsunami by remembering the geography lesson taught by her teacher. So friends, these are the things learnt in part 1 and part 2. Now, let us learn part 3. Please follow the text while I am reading. Note down the meanings of new vocabulary. Please be attentive. Listen carefully. Part 3. Before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. They fled to safety. According to eyewitness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher ground. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas. And zoo animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. So students, before the giant wave slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, slammed, note down the word slammed, hit with sudden force, hit with sudden force, slammed. So before the giant waves, very big waves, the large waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, before the tsunami waves hit the coast of India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals, the wild animals and the domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. So they guessed what was going to happen. Who are they? The wild and domestic animals. Then what did they do? They fled to safety. According to eyewitness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher grounds on that day when the tsunami was going to hit. Elephants started screaming and ran for higher grounds, higher places, the places which are very high, to save their lives. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Generally, dogs were taken for walking, regular walk. But on that day, dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas. Flamingos, you know the animals flamingos. Abandoned, left. Abandoned means left, left, left. Left their low-lying breeding areas. Generally, they lay eggs in the low-lying areas. Low-lying areas means in the hollow places. So they left those places. And Jew animals rushed into their shelters and could not be enticed to come back out. The Jew animals rushed into their respective shelters and could not be enticed, could not be tried to come back out. They just kept themselves safe. Next passage. Students, many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. So here, many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense. Animals have the sixth sense. Possess means have. Animals have the sixth sense. Animals senses the natural disasters beforehand. Many people believe that they have the sixth sense, but know when the earth is going to shake. Before the earthquakes, animals can guess the natural disaster beforehand. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing, animals have the power of hearing comparing to human beings' hearing power, exactly, some decibels. Animals can hear, animals have the powerful hearing aids when comparing to human beings. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can sense an approaching disaster long before human beings realize what's going on. Before human beings realize what was going on, animals could easily sense the danger. But we cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not. But the fact is that the giant wave that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries. On 26th December, the tsunami killed more than 150,000 people. But not many animals have been reported dead. A few animals died of this tsunami. Along India's Kadalur coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. The L-2 National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals, including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patanangala beach inside the park, but no animal carcasses were found except for 2 water buffaloes. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at L-2 National Park had observed 3 animals running away from the Patanangala beach. Observe this passage. Along India's Kadalur coast, Kadalur is in Tamil Nadu district. So, along India's Kadalur coast, it was the place which was just which lost many lives, where thousands of people perished. Perished means died. Buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. The L-2 National Park in Sri Lanka, is home to a variety of animals including elephants, leopards and 133 species of birds. It's a famous national park in Sri Lanka. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patnangala beach inside the park. Inside the park there was a beach called Patnangala. It was there in the Ala National Park. But in that beach 60 visitors were washed away. But no animal carcasses were found. No animals' dead bodies were found except for 2 water buffaloes. So about an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Ala National Park had observed 3 elephants running away from the Patnangala beach. 3 elephants were running away to save their lives. People had observed that. So animals can guess beforehand the disasters, can sense the disasters. How? Just after the chapter we shall come to know that. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale said his 2 dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. So a Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale is in Sri Lanka, said his 2 dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. Generally, his 2 dogs used to go for run every day on the beach. But on that day, they would not go for their daily run. They sensed the danger. He told that they are usually excited to go on this outing, he said. But on that day, they refused to go and most probably saved his life. They refused to go on 26th December. The dogs refused to go for their daily walk or run, so that the man saved his life. So indirectly, the dog saved the man's life. So students, after reading this story, do you believe that the animals have 6th sense? Do you believe in that? And so they were able to save their lives from the tsunami on 26th December? Believe it or not? If not, how could they sense the tsunami beforehand? To know this, just watch this video.
The Indian Ocean tsunami of December 2004 is one of the worst natural disasters in human history. More than 250,000 people are killed. As the world takes stock of the staggering human death toll, new and mysterious stories begin to emerge. Amazing accounts of survival in the animal kingdom. According to rangers, flamingos along India's southern coast suddenly and inexplicably flee for safer forests hours before the tsunami strikes. Sri Lankan dogs refuse their customary early morning walks. Buffalo in a Thai village stampede up a hill, saving the lives of villagers who follow them with just minutes to spare. Across the ravaged area, stories kept coming in. Amid the human carnage, animals somehow surviving, baffling residents and scientists.
Holy elephants and wild boars and other animals were all running away from the sea. Not a single animal would stop.
There were search teams in excess of 50 people there, combing the area for bodies and traces of any survivors. I think it is very clear that there were no dead animals.
With almost every bad earthquake, you hear stories of animals that behaved extremely strange in the days and hours before. In 2004, elephants are said to have fled from the tsunami in Indonesia and Thailand, long before people noticed anything. And before an earthquake in China, hundreds of thousands of toads behaved abnormally as well. But is the myth that animals can predict earthquakes actually true? Many animal species have different or significantly better senses than us. I therefore think that this theory is absolutely possible. So, let's see what science has to say about it. There are hundreds of studies on this topic, and many researchers are currently working on different projects to finally get to the bottom of it. In a meta-analysis, 180 studies and over 700 reports on this subject have been looked at by the scientists of the German Geological Research Center. They mainly examined how conspicuous animal behavior was related to the foreshocks of earthquakes of magnitude 5.5 or greater between 2000 and 2012. The result shows that, in areas where the foreshocks were felt, the animals behaved unnaturally more often. However, since many of the examined reports are poorly documented, the scientists didn't want to make any further statements. As you can see, it seems that further research on this subject would be worthwhile. That's why scientists from the Max Planck Institute are currently observing animals via GPS to track their movement patterns. Among other things, they've equipped goats near Mount Etna with transmitters to be able to recognize whether they are behaving abnormally before an eruption. And in fact, the goats were unusually active before an eruption. Another project found that ants behaved strangely after a carbon dioxide outgassing that usually occurs before an earthquake. So it really seems that certain animals truly are able to recognize and react to foreshocks. Let's take a look at which animals might be particularly suitable for predicting natural disasters such as this one. Elephants. The pachyderms have pressure receptors in the soles of their feet that can perceive infrasound with a frequency between 16 and 20 Hz, which is below the human hearing threshold. This way, they're able to notice foreshocks and earthquakes long before us. This means that they can react early to natural disasters such as tsunamis, which is exactly what they did in 2004. Snakes. According to the Chinese, these are the best animals to predict earthquakes. And snakes are actually used to detect impending earthquakes at an early stage. For this purpose, the animals are monitored around the clock via webcam so that every strange behavior can be documented. According to the director of the Seismic Observatory, snakes can feel 3 to 5 days in advance whether an earthquake is impending at a distance of up to 120 kilometers. They probably owe this ability to their inner ear, which can perceive even the slightest vibrations. In Japan, on the other hand, these fish are used for the task instead of snakes. With the help of ampullae organs in their skin, catfish can feel electrical fields. This actually serves as an orientation aid for the fish, but it also helps them to detect earthquakes much earlier than us. As you can see, it really doesn't seem unlikely that animals can predict earthquakes. Sometimes their senses are even more capable than the technical devices we use to detect natural disasters. Since ancient times, many reports have pointed to these findings, but we have yet to obtain clear evidence through scientifically documented observations. What do you think? Can animals really predict earthquakes and other natural disasters? Please let me know in the comments below. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you next time. Bye!
So students, you have watched the video about the power of tsunami, and you have come to know that how animals could sense the dangers of natural disasters beforehand. So they tried to escape from these disasters and tried to save their lives. How could it happen? I think you got the point from this video. Thank you so much for watching the video, and now please complete the assignment given to you. Send me the answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much.